Hello, Ciel.
Hi, Carlos. How are you?
Hey, comrade. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you. Yeah, I had a question because I heard Marcelo Ebrard, that is the Secretary of Foreign Affairs here in Mexico, that around 80% of the exterior trade of Mexico is with the U.S. and we see a really imminent de-dollarization around the globe. And you know how in there is more 2 years more there's gonna be the renew of the free trade agreement that Mexico, Canada, and the US have. So I see Mexico in right now in the context that I read more close or closer than other countries to the right correct side of history. So I just wonder how you see with the new president Claudia Sheinbaum is like the whole context about the dollarization, the Mexican exterior trade, and the free trade agreement.
That's a very, very good question. We just had recently, I wonder if you saw the program with Mexican Marxist economist Oscar Rojas. Um, he would have perhaps been a really good person to ask this question to. I would say that, and this was something I asked him, like, is Mexico too close to the US to really experience some of the global turns that are happening, such as de-dollarization, such as this new BRICS infrastructure that's arising? Like, could Mexico join something like BRICS, or is that completely out of the table because of its proximity and connection with the U.S.? You mentioned 80% of trade, exterior trade, is with the U.S., and I think it's a I think whatever it does, and I see Scheinbaum as just continuing the 4T, the fourth transformation. So I doubt it's going to be any different, except in terms of form from AMLO. She seems to be more like straightforward and direct. AMLO is someone that's very poetic and stuff. Um, but I do think the process is going to essentially look the same. The 4T process is going to continue, and it's one that is sustaining Mexican sovereignty while uh, by degrees um, making itself less and less dependent on the US and creating the sorts of conditions where you know the tools that the US would have to attack Mexico economically specifically would be less. Now, in terms of concrete policies, I don't know how that's going to look like. I just know that the process in Mexico, from what I've spoken to my Mexican comrades, it has to take this sort of by degree form. Like, take even how AMLO self describes. Um, he calls himself a humanist, but then he names his kid after Che Guevara, you know? And then uh, people in Morena taking offices all over the country, I know a few of them, like a handful. They're like communists that are in Morena. So in Mexico, it's always kind of it seems like the process has to look something like that, where it's not very explicit in some cases, but in terms of the substance of the policies, it continues to tend towards nationalization of key industries, and sovereignty at large. But it is worrisome how interconnected, and that's an interconnection that goes both ways. Like the U.S. is also, in some sense, dependent on that trade with Mexico.